What's up YouTube, it's Jake with For the Love of Tools. Today we're going to talk about some of the different tools that me as a diesel mechanic and a heavy equipment mechanic uses that's different than a lot of you that are in an automotive shop. Stick around. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you could, give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, let me know what you thought about it, and so let's begin. So, a lot of what I don't necessarily have different tools, I just have bigger tools. More complete sets than most people have. So, like for instance, just to start out, I mean, if you're in the diesel world, you gotta have a set of wrenches that goes up to 2 inches. I mean, there's almost no way around it. You got to have at least 2 inches. I'm looking at going all the way up to 3.5, so which means I got to have more big wrenches that take up a lot of space. You don't use them super often, but there is times that you do need them. So if you are looking to get started out in this trade, just know you have to buy a lot more. It's easier to start out in an automotive shop because you can get a lot of your baseline tools and then jump over to diesel, then just have to buy the bigger upgrades. So that's one thing. I mean, another thing, sockets. I have, so we'll start out with just my 1/2-inch drive impact stuff. So my 1/2-inch drive impact stuff goes, for standard, goes all the way up to 1.5 inches, and then for metric goes up to 36. And this is just 1/2-inch drive stuff. I have this both in shallow and deep. So I mean, you gotta have some bigger stuff, and it is really nice sometimes to have, because I use this 1.5 a lot, and then I use this 36. Occasionally I use the 1.5 more though. But it is nice to have this in a 1/2-inch drive just because it is smaller than your typical 3/4 drive 1.5. So, and then jumping up to my 3/4 set, it starts at 1 inch, and then, you know, it gets pretty big. So I bought the Tecton set because it was super affordable, and it picked up where I left off, which was 2.5 inches to 2 7/16 inches. So 2.5 is the biggest. So it is nice to have these. They are a little bit on the thick side, but most of the time, if it's something that big, it's typically not in a super confined space. Well, I mean, it might suck for you to get to it, but you usually can get an impact on it. But this is 3/4 drive stuff. Up to 2.5 is what I would recommend. So then, some other stuff you have to have. I mean, I know some cars and some 4-wheel drive stuff has this. But so, wheel bearing sockets. So my own personal set goes all the way up to 2 3/4, but you know, they're all different styles. And you can see just by looking at these. I mean, so this one's 6-sided, this one's 5-sided, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, wait. 1, 2, 3, no, they're both 6-sided, but you can see the shapes are different with the corners. A lot of different wheel bearings come in many different varieties. I bought the OTC set, which has all these. It has a lot of the common ones, but I mean, I also need some stuff like this here. So this is a 4 7/8 wheel bearing socket. It's a 3/4 inch drive, and I mean, some of them just get ridiculously big. So this one is a shop provided tool, but as you can see, we do use it, and I mean, sometimes you need stuff this big. Most of the time in a diesel shop, they are going to provide the bigger stuff. Most of the time, you're providing stuff typically up to 2 inches safe, but your shop is going to vary. So, and then jumping over to even bigger sockets. So this is a 3.5 inch on a 1 inch drive socket. we do use this too. I mean, you're seeing a lot of big stuff in my world. So again, shops are usually going to provide this. Hopefully it shouldn't be on you, but I mean, sometimes it can be. But if it does, that gets expensive, because buying a set that goes up to 3.5, even if you buy a dirt cheap brand, is going to be in the $1,000 range. They get pretty spendy. So some other little odd and end tools that I have that a lot of you don't. So this is a filter wrench. I don't know if we can see the part number here. It doesn't have a part number on it. But this is a Daveco. It's used for fuel water separators on some pack cars. Some pack cars have it, some don't. Even if it's the same model, some of them don't, some of them do. But this fits perfectly around the ring, and it makes your life a lot easier. This is on Amazon, and it's pretty cheap. And then this portion here is meant for the vent cap on top. If you do work on pack cars a lot and you have to deal with that fuel water separator, you can look at this and know exactly which one it is, and you'd be like, oh, check it out on Amazon. It's pretty easy to find. Just search Davco, and this is going to come up. That's just a little odd end oil change stuff. So some other oil change stuff that I have that's, you know, a little bit different. I don't know what happened to my big set, but they're fucking gone. But so this is a set from Cornwell. These are filter wrench pliers, and I absolutely love these. This is the smaller set. I use the bigger set every single time I did an oil change, because any kind of regular filter, it would fit around, and it would catch enough grip to be able to take it off. And I could fit it into all the places. So that's what I use these for. I wish I had the bigger set to show you, but you guys have probably seen them. Most automotive guys don't need anything bigger than this. But if you're in the diesel world, getting that bigger set as your initial first purchase, because you're most likely going to start doing oil changes, helps you out a lot, because it can do just about anything. Occasionally a coolant filter, these come in handy for, but most of the time I use the big ones. So, oh fuck, shit's falling. So, filter wrench, chain wrench. I bought this thinking I would use it all the time on regular oil changes, but I didn't. But what it does come in handy for is two different things. One is changing air dryers. This works fantastic for air dryers, because I don't know what it is about air dryers. You can put them on at hand tight, and then just a little teeny tiny oomph, and then a year later when you're going to change them again, they're just fucking impossible to get off. You're going to have to drain all the air. So these work really well for air dryers, just because it is so fucking long. And then the other thing it works good for is if you guys work on big trucks, and some of you guys may have dump beds. So the hydraulic, on the hydraulic cylinder, it has that ring that you can tighten or loosen if you're going to rebuild the cylinder. Sometimes you get the seal that leaks and it, you know, pisses out the top. And sometimes it just has rattled loose a little bit and you have to tighten it down. This works really good for wrapping it around there and just giving a little turn. So that's why I keep these around. They are fantastic. So some other little odd and end stuff. I mean, hammers, everyone has them. You guys may be thinking, oh, you have a really fucking big hammer. Which, I mean, I do. I have a 35-pound sledge over there. It's just, I don't want to pick it up because it's too heavy. But so in my line of work, I actually have to do a lot of chipping, whether I'm working on asphalt equipment or concrete equipment. A nice little chipping hammer works great for me. And, you know, other times you're literally chipping through road grime because it's been so long since something's been serviced. My go-to sledgehammer is actually this one. This is a Simple Harbor Freight. This is, I want to say this is an 8-pound, and I cut about 8 to 12 inches off the end of it. And I mean, this is my favorite hammer by far. It's just one of those little short, not too short, 8-pound sledgehammers. This thing can get a lot of work done for me. I have some other miscellaneous hammers. You know, I still have all the smaller stuff, the the 12, the 14, 16, 24 ounce ball peens. I have a 5 pound and a 2 pound and a pound and a half. I mean, I have a lot of the little ones. I mean, occasionally I use them. Most of the time I don't use them. So, what else we got? Oh, some other things. Maybe some of you automotive guys have these, maybe some of you don't, but pipe wrenches. I mean, you're just amazed at all the times that a pipe wrench comes in handy. It's just kind of insane not to have one. Because, I mean, for a lot of diesel guys, they don't work at a fleet company, they work at a dealership or something like that. Me working at a fleet company, I'm doing more than just trucks that come in the door. I'm also doing a lot of other pieces of equipment that aren't trucks and everything like that. So you just sometimes run into situations where you need a pipe wrench. Always a good thing to have. This isn't a super expensive set. I got this off of Amazon for I think 20 or 30 bucks because I don't use them. I don't use them super often, so it's just like I just needed pipe wrenches and I didn't need anything too specific. So another thing is just, I mean, bigger is better. So it's not going to fit all on the camera. But so this is Mayhew's Dominator pry bar. I mean, I need this every time I pull in a truck to do an inspection because this is what I use to check wheel bearings and kingpins. You can't check it with anything else. You can't. It's not like a car where you can go on there and wiggle the top of the tire. No, you gotta fucking jack it up and shove this fucking 5 foot long motherfucker in there to move it. I am looking at getting the 6 foot one, and eventually someone will come out with an even bigger one, and I'll probably get that. It'll just have to be, you know, the shank will have to be big enough. Right now, Mayhew hasn't upgraded the size of their shank from that one for the 72 inch, so I'm waiting to see if they are going to. This is a 3/4 shank. I was hoping they would put a 1 inch shank on the bigger one just to help out. They haven't done so yet, so in the meanwhile, I'll just wait. So, I mean, kind of. I mean, not a super necessity, but brake adjusting tools. Depending on the policy at where you're at, it might be adjust the brakes every time it comes in. It might be because most trucks have automatic slack adjusters on them, that it might be, you know, do it once a year. I like to do it every time I grease a truck because it kind of gives me an idea, because you can't tell if a slack adjuster is bad unless you adjust it, because it's supposed to tighten easily and then it's supposed to loosen to back it off. It's supposed to click, and if they don't click, it means that they can back themselves off. So, and you can't tell that just by looking at it. I mean, and the last thing you want is to wait for a driver to complain about braking issues and it's too late and he's running a family off the road. So, I mean, I like to do it every time I grease a truck, which is every 200 hours. So with how often we run, that's about every 2.5, 3 weeks-ish. And I just like to check them there, you know, just tighten it really quick, back it off, and then you're done. And there's a lot of things you have to know if you're just starting out. I mean, you gotta know. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, sometimes they would stick you with somebody and you would apprentice under them and train under them, and other times they're just gonna fucking throw you in and be like, figure it out. If you can't figure it out, get the fuck out. I mean, that's just kind of what happens. I mean, sometimes it doesn't. And I mean, and I also know automotive shops don't do a whole lot of welding. Some of them do, some of them don't. But I mean, here in this shop, we do a fuck ton of welding. So I mean, I have my welding hood up on top of my box, but I mean, you guys know what one of those is. So I mean, all things to look at if you're looking on joining the diesel industry. I mean, you just get used to shit's just a lot bigger, and it's not as easy as, like, if you were pulling a head on a car. 90% of the time you can pull it out by yourself. If you're pulling a head on a big truck, it's going to take 2 people or a forklift or something like that. I mean, because shit just gets heavier in this world. But that's it, guys. I see right now I'm pushing 14 minutes, so We'll catch you back on the next video.